Hi Sherry, thanks for opting into the video critique here. I think your ad is off to a really fun start. I like the idea of having the plate up on the ceiling. You have a great amount of white space, and it looks like you've hit all of the assignment requirements with the tagline, logo. Let me read what it actually says down here. Okay, good. Call to action, I think you might be considering it be prepared, be OXO ready. I would like to see it spelled out a little bit more. Like you could say available at Target, available at Walmart, something like that. Buy online today. Just something really apparent that it's a call to action. You could make this paragraph shorter. I don't think you necessarily need all of that. And so that might be kind of a nice thing to do. Watch for things like OXO ready. I don't know if it's intentional if there's not a space there, but you want to make sure there's a space there unless it's super obvious that that's a design choice, which I don't think it is super obvious, so I'd just be sure to add in that space. This would actually look really nice justified. So in your paragraph palette, you could justify this and maybe it would bump down some of these letters, like you could make the box a little bit smaller, and instead of having this ragged edge along the right, it'd be a nice tight square, okay? Usually I'm going to always encourage you to avoid centering. However, I think this would look really nice centered underneath your pancakes because your pancakes have such a nice strong line. If you follow the visual flow of this design, you have a nice strong line coming down here. Now what would look really good is if you could justify the type of this underneath here, which might be tricky. You'd have to have different sizes. So you could say the bigger than spatula, your bigger pancakes this size will flip 4, or will bigger flip 4. So you would have some kind of cool line where you have the line of your pancakes and the line of your edge of your type on both the right and the left would be a cool box underneath this, kind of just all flowing right onto the spatula. The alternative to that, which is much more straightforward, is you could just center this. So the spatula your pancakes will flip 4, centered here, falling onto the pancake. But I think it would look really cool if you could play around with different sizes. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure how to even play around in Google with like it. Let's see. Type justified different sizes. Maybe something like that. No. Let's see. One second. I'm gonna look on the. I'm gonna look on LDS.org under their media library for their inspirational images. Whoa, this is my first time here. That's because I'm not signed in. Okay, so let's see. I think the media library is here. Yep, okay. So let's look at their inspirational memes and hopefully I can kind of give you an idea for what I think would look cool. I don't just want to do a totally random Google search without having in mind what I'm looking for because sometimes I get really weird things. Okay, so by speaker, hold on, let's go back. We'll do it by topic and see. I may have to kind of look around and see if I can find a good example. Personal development, maybe? Let's see. Okay, so this is not a perfect example of this, but it'll get you heading in the right direction. Okay, so see how you have a variety of sizes, and these are all centered. Now, what it would look most interesting on yours, I think, you could do something like this, and I think it would look really nice. Or you could have them all end so they're all justified, and it would be like, put us on this earth to fail but to succeed gloriously. Okay, so you would have them so you'd have enough words, and then they would all end at the same line on the right, the same line on the left, and that would be aligned with the pancakes above them. That would look kind of refreshing, fun, look fresh. It'd look very visually interesting to have those kind of different sizes for the words. Okay, here's a good, almost what I'm talking about. Not perfectly, but almost. Okay, and this could actually work because the pancakes have some lines to them too. So it has a little bit of a bump. Something like this, I think, could look really fun on your app. Okay, so now that we have this in mind, let's bounce back here. See how you could do something like that, but with these words and different sizes, and have it kind of be right underneath. You could play around with that, see if you like it. It was just an idea that popped into my head. So look at this, and then we'll picture it here again. It was just an idea that popped into my head that would kind of make your ad look a little bit more interesting. Since you're going to probably want to at least have them centered, you could play around with sizes. You could also play around with different types. Like both of those that I just showed you had at least different sizes, and they sometimes had, one of them was filled in totally with it was a solid letter, and then others were outlined. So that could be kind of interesting as well. But you could do it with like this contrasting type here. For example, your sans serif, the spatula, your pancakes. This could be this could be a serif font, pancakes or something. Personally, I actually really like it all black and heavy like this. And in a sans serif, I think it looks good with this amount of white space all around it. But you could play around. Maybe you could stumble on something that would look even better, even though I do like the way it looks now. For some reason, I'm not loving this font down here. It's fine. It's just not exciting. It feels like it was just placed there because it had to be placed there. So we want to be really intentional about where we place things. Perhaps this would look better if maybe your logo scooted up a bit, and then you just had your little paragraph even smaller, tucked right here underneath it, with a call to action, a little bit of space, following that rule of hierarchy, because your 1 to 2 sentences of body copy are not the same as your call to action. So you want a little bit of space between them. So maybe you have the logo, then a very small 1 to 2 sentences, a little bit of space, and then your call to action. Now, it could look good over here, or it could look better the way you have it, but maybe you just justify it. Maybe you break it up so it's not quite as big of a paragraph, or maybe you make this font size smaller. Those would all be good ideas to kind of play around with and see if it takes your ad to that next level. All right, so that's your magazine ad. For your Facebook ad, this also looks a little bit too wide. Check your dimensions. I feel like it should be a little bit narrower than this, okay? Now, what I would recommend you do is you can kind of keep this similar, but there's going to create a lot of white space on this side and this side. So instead, I would probably make the amount of paragraphs smaller, and make sure you still probably have your logo on there and your call to action, but I'm okay with you getting rid of most of this writing because the actual ad is going to be very small. Okay, you may have to change things up a little bit. Maybe you put your spatula, let's see, I don't know, the whole thing is that they're falling onto this, so it's kind of, you kind of need to have them like this. But maybe in this case, you have to do something different where the words aren't in between. Maybe your pancakes are bigger, your spatula's underneath it, your words are left aligned over here, and then you just have the logo in this corner, or you have your logo down here. Okay, so you really want to play around with moving these elements around on this page, thinking about different things. It looks so good on your big one to have the words in between, but doesn't really work for the size of ad. That's part of this process, is figuring out what works with different ad sizes and then making those good design choices still. Okay. Final thing I did notice is I would like you to clean up the edge of the plate up here. See how it's kind of ragged. Go in and try to reselect this a little bit. Try to get rid of any of this darkness. This is saying I was photoshopped, and instead we don't want anyone to notice that. Down here, you've done a really nice job with the selection. The pancakes, the edge here looks really good. It's just up on this plate. We need to continue to work on it. Okay, so really good start. Just keep on refining those final things, working on your type and placement for both of the ads. All right, thanks so much, and good luck finishing up this week.